This time we are back, PlayStation Platinum hunting at Norwich Videogame Retro Market, CEX stores in our nation's capital, London. And this time we managed to cross one of the toughest Platinums off our list, as well as finding a game I never knew got a PlayStation 3 Platinum release. Folks, and welcome back to the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy. My challenge for 2025 to not only find every single PlayStation 3 Platinum game released here in the PAL region, but also to finish the story, to find the last remaining PlayStation 2 Platinum games. We need to complete the PlayStation 2 Platinum library, but not only that, we are only one PlayStation 1 Platinum game away from completing the PlayStation 1 Platinum library. And this time we're going to get even closer to finding every PlayStation Platinum game ever released here in the PAL region. This time we are hitting up Norwich Videogame Retro Market, as well as hitting the road down to our nation's capital, London, and hitting up as many CEX stores as possible to find these PlayStation Platinum games. But we also headed to eBay, as that is where we're going to find some of the rarest PlayStation 3 Platinum games ever released. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and please subscribe. So I put new videos out every Saturday night at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week. And I really want you folks along for the ride. If you ever miss an episode of the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy, fear not, I'll link them all down below in the playlist. Now, let's get on the Platinum Hunt. Our Platinum Hunt this time starts right here in the fine city of Norwich at the Forum at the Video Game Retro Market. And video game markets such as this one are some of the best places to find some of the rarest and hardest to find games for your collection. But so far, over the course of the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy, we have had very little luck finding Platinum games at any video game market here in the UK. This is simply because, honestly, I expect most people are not bringing Platinum games to sell at markets like this. They are bringing their high-end, rare games. And honestly, most people are probably trying to avoid Platinums, which is precisely the opposite of what we're doing, hoping to find them. Straight away, you can see there is a very, very, very large selection of video games here at the Video Game Retro Market. Games for all consoles, but specifically this time we are looking for PlayStation 3 Platinum games. Let's jump into some boxes full of PS3 games and see if we can find any Platinum games. This one always catches me off guard. Gran Turismo 5 Prologue, because it has the silver spine, which is normally synonymous with Platinum games. It's a bit of a red herring, but here we have our first Platinum game. It is one we already have, Resistance Fall of Man. And it's getting harder and harder to find games we do need. We are steadily approaching the halfway point of this collection. We are coming to about 50 games, there being roughly 111 PlayStation 3 Platinum games to find. So honestly, it's not surprising that it's getting harder and harder to find these games, but it just makes it so much sweeter when you manage to find one. But finding them is only half the battle. First off, you have to go through boxes and boxes and boxes of games. There is a massive selection of games here today. And of course, I managed to pick up some awesome items for my collection. But finding these games is just half the battle. Of course, when you find a Platinum game, it has to have the correct Platinum disc. And this can always be a little bit disappointing. When you find a game you need, such as this one right here, Heavenly Sword, an incredibly fantastic game for the PS3, but unfortunately one we won't be able to pick up today because it hasn't got the correct Platinum disc. Infamous is one we have already got. It's Infamous 2 we are still looking for, but at least this one did have the correct disc. Now this is more like it. 2 decent stacks of PlayStation 3 Platinum games. And fingers crossed one of these has at least one game we need and we can break this streak of bad luck so far we are having at video game markets in 2025. But unfortunately nothing we need here in this first stack. So I'm just hoping in this second stack there's at least one game we need. And thankfully, the streak is over. We have managed to find a PlayStation 3 Platinum game we need at a video game market in 2025. But not only that, I also managed to bundle it together with some other awesome games to get an even better deal here at the Norwich Videogame Retro Market. It had been an absolutely incredible day, as well as finding, of course, just one Platinum game. I did find some amazing games for my collection, as well as starting a brand new sub-collection. So head to the channel after watching this and check out my other videos from this amazing gaming market. Now, back to the games room. Here we are then, back in the games room after another awesome instalment of the Norwich Video Game Retro Market. And massive shout out to Ricky and all of the organisers for once again making it a huge success. It is great to see this video game market go from strength to strength every time. And I hope to see some of you folks at the next one, because you haven't got long to wait. 26th of May, it'll be back at the Forum Norwich on a bank holiday Monday. And speaking of, this time I met one of you viewers, Ian, who gifted me this copy of Assassin's Creed 2, the Game of the Year edition. And for me, this was a golden age of Assassin's Creed. The first game came and kind of laid the foundations, and this one improved upon it in almost every way. So massive shout out to Ian for this one, and very happy to cross it off the list. Unfortunately, so far this year, we have not had the best of luck hunting for Platinum games at any of the video game markets we have visited all around the UK. But thankfully, this time at Norwich Video Game Retro Market, our luck has changed, as I managed to find this copy of Battlefield Bad Company. One of my favourite games of this generation, both for the single player and the multiplayer, which was absolutely sublime. And even better, I managed to bundle this with some other games to get an even better deal. I've got another video on the channel here for the Norwich Video Game Retro Market, so make sure you go and check that out, as I managed to add some awesome items, as always, to the collection. Now, of course, after hitting up Norwich Video Game Retro Market, I decided it would be rude not to hit up my local CEX store once again on the hunt for PlayStation 3 Platinum games, as every time I go in, I of course check to see if they have any Platinum games we needed. And thankfully this time, after going through this massive PlayStation 3 selection, I did find one game we needed. But again, unfortunately, we were caught by the curse of the incorrect Platinum disc. And trust me, this is going to come back again later in this episode to bite us in the proverbial. Unfortunately then, I didn't have any luck hunting for PlayStation 3 Platinum games at my local CEX here in the fine city of Norwich. But fear not, later in the episode, we'll be hitting up more CEX stores in the heart of London. But first off, we have a PlayStation 2 Platinum game to cross off the list. At the start of this episode, we had just 17 PlayStation 2 games left to find to complete the complete PlayStation 2 PAL Platinum library. And with this game, we are going down to 16. And this is the last game from a very popular franchise we needed for the collection. With this game right here, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Now, this was an eBay find I was watching and actually had to bid a couple of times to win. I would say this is the hardest to find Dragon Ball Z game for the PlayStation 2 Platinum library. This is in incredible condition with the manual and of course the correct Platinum disc. And yeah, all I can say is apologies to who I outbid for this game, but one down, 16 to go. Next up, we're hunting in London, the home of the world's smallest TARDIS, and of course many CEX stores. But I was very limited for time for Platinum hunting while I was in London, as I was away on a business trip and only had a very small amount of time to hunt in a couple of CEX stores. So I had no idea what to expect if we were going to find any Platinum games, but these were the two closest CEX stores to my hotel, so these were the two we were hitting up. And we're starting this time in Whitechapel, so fingers crossed we can find some Platinum games. Now, Whitechapel CEX is a fairly small store, so it'll come as no surprise it has a fairly small PlayStation 3 section. But I'm hoping, even though this is a small section, we may be able to find at least one Platinum game we need for the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy. And it's looking fairly good. We are finding some Platinum games, including one here which I thought we did need Prototype, but thankfully I did check my list before we left. But this is a game we do need, Heavenly Sword. So I'm just crossing my fingers and my toes that this has the correct Platinum disc. And like I said, this is a fairly small PlayStation 3 section, so small that a small amount of shelf space also houses all of the PlayStation 2 games this store had. So I did of course check on the off chance they had any PlayStation 2 Platinum games we still need. But thankfully here at Whitechapel we had found one PlayStation 3 Platinum game we needed, and also thankfully I did realise at the time that we'd already found Prototype. One store down, one game found, on to the next one. While I was in London, I did have a small amount of time for sightseeing, and this was cool to see this Doom the Dark Ages bus, as I'm loving that game at the moment. But time was short. We were off to Elephant and Castle CEX. I only had time to visit 2 stores while I was in central London. I was hoping this one would have even more PlayStation 3 Platinum games we needed for the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy. It was a real gamble, as I only had time to visit these 2 stores like I said, so I hope the gamble pays off here at Elephant and Castle. We can find some more PlayStation 3 Platinum games to cross off list, and who knows, maybe even a PlayStation 2 game. You just never know what you're going to find when you hit up any CEX store. This was a fairly big store compared to the last one, so let's hope we find something cool. Straight away, this was cool. This clear yellow controller for the PS2. Nothing to do with the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy, but so cool to see. After our last CEX store, I was pleasantly surprised to see a fairly sizable PlayStation 2 section here at Elephant and Castle CEX. And while there were a few PlayStation 2 Platinum games, somewhat unsurprisingly, there was not any of the final 16 games we're still looking for. It's such a slim chance any of these games are likely to turn up in a CEX store, but it's always worth a look. Once again, I was pleasantly surprised by the size of the PlayStation 3 section here at Elephant and Castle. I would say this is about the average size of a PlayStation 3 section of any CEX all around the UK, as unfortunately, as we've seen throughout this series, these sections are only getting smaller. So it's good to see a fairly healthy selection of PlayStation 3 games here today at Elephant and Castle. But unfortunately, there wasn't any Platinum games we needed this time for the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy. Now, I could have visited a different CEX store and maybe the gamble would have paid off, but unfortunately this time I took a gamble and I lost. We could have head up to a different CEX store, but time was against me, unfortunately, on this trip to London. But it had been an absolutely fantastic trip, not just for business, not just for game hunting, but also for sightseeing, because it's great to see the bright lights of London, but it's even better to head back to the games room for the pickups. Unfortunately then, this time it is 3 strikes and we are out. We struck out right here in the fine city of Norwich at the first CEX store we visited this time. Yes, we managed to find a PlayStation 3 Platinum game we needed, but unfortunately it did not have the correct Platinum disc. And this happened once again in central London. We managed to find a Platinum game we needed, but again, it didn't have the correct disc. And then third strike, we were out. We didn't manage to find any Platinum games this time we needed in any CEX store. But the hunt will continue, as I just know we are still going to be able to find some of these Platinum games we need in CEX stores all around the UK, be them common or uncommon. But when it comes to some of the hardest Platinum games we still have to find, for some of these we are going to have to resort to eBay. And this brings me to the tough Platinums. Let me introduce you to the tough Platinums, a list of 12 of the hardest to find, rarest PlayStation 3 Platinum games released here in the PAL region. I have built this list after talking to fellow collectors and researching online, and I believe these are the 12 hardest PlayStation 3 Platinum games to find, and these games are top of my hit list, as these are the games which could stop us from completing the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy. So if you have any of these games or any other PlayStation 3 Platinum game we still need, please get in touch. I have said from the beginning of the PlayStation Platinum project, I cannot do this without your help. So if you have any of these games, please get in touch. Except for this one game right here, as today we are crossing one of the tough Platinums off the list. Now, the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed we've already managed to cross one of these games off the list of tough Platinums with Fallout 3, which we managed to pick up for the collection on the last episode of the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy. And this episode, we are once again crossing off one of these tough Platinums with this game right here from eBay, Dead Space 2. Now, this is one that does not come up very often, but much like buses, as soon as I picked up this copy, a second copy did appear on eBay, but that copy was sealed. Now, for my money, I think it looks like a reseal, but it is up for £45. I managed to get this copy of Dead Space 2 for just $15 via best offer, and this is in incredible condition with the correct Platinum disc and manual. And like I said, this is one which does not turn up very often, so very happy to cross this one off the list. But when it comes to the list specifically of tough Platinums, we are not done yet. We have a crazy one to finish this episode on this time. When it comes to the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy, it is a list, to the best of my knowledge, of every single PlayStation 3 Platinum game released here in the PAL region. 111 games. But slowly, over the course of this series, I'm finding exceptions to this rule. And in this envelope, we have another game which is not on that list. Now again, there is a second copy of this game on eBay, but that game is up for £100. And again, it is sealed, which is a crazy price to pay for what is a fairly common black label game. So when I came across a second copy of this game on eBay for less than half the price, I just knew I had to pick it up, as I never knew when I was going to see this one again. It is Mortal Kombat for the PlayStation 3, and more importantly, it is the Platinum version. And this is the best version of this game, as you can play as Kratos, and this is one you do not see very often, especially with the correct Platinum disc. And I wasn't looking for this game because I didn't know it got a PlayStation 3 Platinum release, and this may well be one of the rarest PlayStation 3 Platinum games ever released. There we have it then, folks. That was another episode of the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy, and we are one step closer to finding every single PlayStation 2 Platinum game, with Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 taking us down to just 16 PlayStation 2 games needed to complete the PlayStation 2 Platinum library. Unfortunately, this time we only have 4 PlayStation 3 Platinum games to cross off the list, but 2 of these are 2 of the rarest PlayStation 3 Platinum games ever released, and honestly, at this point, I'm all about quality over quantity. There we have it then, folks. That was another episode of the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy, and our next stop is at the Forum Norwich on May 26th, the next instalment of the Video Game Retro Market. But I'll be heading all around the UK and beyond for the remainder of 2025 as we try and find every single PlayStation Platinum game release here in the PAL region. And as we near the halfway point of this challenge, the stakes have never been higher, and it can only get crazier from here. So if you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, subscribe, and until next time, let the games begin. See you soon!